Hello, my name is John Wedgwood, one of the aesthetic consultants, and I'm going to talk about the ventilator that's going to be used in the satellite ICU for both COVID positive patients potentially, but certainly COVID negative patients who've been moved from the regular ICU in the first instance. So the ventilator is currently set up to run an automatic as a ventilator, and we're currently ventilating this reservoir bag. So I'll go through the breathing system from the bag, which represents the patient. Then there's a filter. There would be your closed suction before the filter, which I think has been discussed already. And this is the breathing system. It's got an inspiratory limb and an expiratory limb. Going back to the machine, and on the expiratory limb there's a second filter. So the ventilator is driven by the bellows here, and in normal working, the bellows fall on inspiration and should rise back to the top on expiration. If the bellows don't rise back to the top, that suggests there might be a leak in the system. If the bellows fall altogether and don't re-inflate, then the circuit has probably become disconnected at some point. The ventilator can be operated in manual mode by pushing this switch from the right over to the left. The patient is now ventilated using the bag in manual mode. Okay, to return to automatic ventilation, the switch goes from left to right. Now operated by the bellows again. So auxiliary parts of the machine include a port here and a flow meter for delivering oxygen, which is completely independent of the ventilator. Over here is the operation for suction. Maximum is over to the right. On the left, you can adjust the level of suction using the dial below. The suction equipment is located here at the back of the machine. You'll be able to attach your suction tubing to your closed suction unit at the patient connection. As this ventilator is actually connected to an anaesthetic machine, this is the volatile anaesthetic that we would use in theatre, but when it's operating as a ventilator, this will be removed, so there'll be a gap at the front of the machine. So this screen displays what the ventilator is actually doing. So this top line here is the pressure that's being generated by the ventilator, and you can get a tracing of that here, and the peak pressure is demonstrated there, the mean pressure here, and the total amount of PEEP is demonstrated here. The second line demonstrates the volume change that's going on as the ventilator works. The tidal volume, so the volume with each breath, is demonstrated here, and the minute volume, so that's the total volume per minute that the patient's being ventilated with, is demonstrated here. The bottom line will demonstrate the end tidal carbon dioxide. So there will be a square wave running across here. Unfortunately, we can't demonstrate that because it's not connected to a patient, and you get a numerical display here of the end tidal carbon dioxide value. Down here is the inspired oxygen value on the right and the expired oxygen value on the left, and it's currently set at 30%. Over here is the respiratory rate. So this is a touch screen, and the ventilator is operated by using the controls on this bar at the bottom. So if you want to change something, you touch the screen, and using this toggle increase the value, When you reach the value that you want, press the toggle to set it. To reduce it again, touch the screen, turn down with the toggle. When you reach the value you want, press the toggle to set it. So this is inspired oxygen. This is the total flow that's going through the machine, which will normally be set at 3 in these ICU patients, but can be increased if necessary. This is the one for the anaesthetic, which we've seen removed. These will not be in use. This is the mode of ventilation, and this will be the most common mode being used in these ICU patients, which is SIMV with a pressure control ventilation and a volume guarantee. This is the tidal volume, this is the respiratory rate, this is the amount of pressure support that's being delivered with this mode, and this is the amount of PEEP, positive end expiratory pressure. The ventilator is driven by oxygen and air from the pipeline supply. Suction is also delivered from the wall pipeline. If the pipeline supply of oxygen fails, this is what will happen. The ventilator will still operate by opening the auxiliary oxygen cylinder, which is located at the back. The ventilator is now running on the oxygen supply from the cylinder at the back of the machine. Bellows are operating and ventilation has been resumed. The full operation of the ventilator and potential problems will be discussed face-to-face, hands-on. All the machines will have a troubleshooting guide, which you'll go through in your face-to-face, hands-on discussion. The most important thing to remember is that if the ventilator fails or the oxygen supply fails, then the quickest and safest thing is to call for help immediately and to ventilate the patient using a bag connected to their endotracheal tube or tracheostomy and connected to an alternative source of oxygen provided by a cylinder.